Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to MVT's Elevenses. Yes, we haven't done one since COVID, so we brought one specially back for you today as we welcome you to a special Elevenses to celebrate the 11th hour of our Own Our Venues campaign. I am Chris Sherrington, and I am standing in today for Mark, who is currently at Parliament talking to the wonderful Julia Lopez, but Mark will be joining us. And as well as Mark joining us today, we have some very special guests to talk to you about the wonderful Own Our Venues campaign and music venue properties and the work that we're doing in order for you to invest in some of the great venues across the country. I'm going to bring in, firstly, as a returning host of Elevenses, it was her idea, I think, to make this happen. I'm going to bring in the wonderful and my boss, Bev. Hello, Bev. How are you down in London?
Hi, I'm good. I love being introduced as people's boss. It always makes me laugh. Hello, Chris. Good morning, and welcome back to Elevenses. Anyone that used to join us in the early days of COVID, when we used to do this madly every day, it's quite nice and quite a novelty to be doing it again. I'm very much hoping that we're going to have a number of guests join us today, and also various members of Team MVT and a representative of music venue properties, because the most important thing about the owner venue scheme is that it's a real team effort. It's all about collectivism. It's all about gathering together the community of music lovers, which means that an awful lot of people are working on it as well. So I wanted to come in and say hello. And other than that, I'm going to listen in and hopefully enjoy everyone else rather than being in charge today. So I'm going to hand the reins back to Chris and just say, lovely to see you all.
Thanks for that, Bev. It is lovely to see you all. And just to kick off, why are we here? Well, Own Our Venues is a campaign that has been running now for, it feels like forever, but it was one of the first reasons why Music Venues Trust was set up. And that was to take commercial landlords out of the picture, to take some of our best venues across the country and secure a future for them. And the way that we can do that is by making sure they're owned by the people that are best to own them. And that is you, music fans, and people who care about music across the country. The campaign has been running, and the aim was to raise money to take over 9 venues across the country. And there have been some wonderful venues amongst them, from the Snug all the way down to Bideford and Atherton, and talking to people like Polar Bear and Le Pub. And there's some wonderful venues here. Now, we're just reaching the end of this campaign, and as part of that, you can either invest or you can donate, and you can invest from as little as £100, or you can donate any amount. And we are reaching the very end of this campaign. We are trying to raise 2.5 million is our target at the moment. We have just tipped over 2 million yesterday, and you can donate through one of many channels. So if you want to invest, I'm going to put on the ticker tape here. You can invest from www.crowdfunder.co.uk, Own Our Venues, or you can donate through www.crowdfunder.co.uk, Own Our Venues donations. And you can do that now. And as part of the campaign, we're really trying to crack it off into the next 2 days just to finish this off and make sure we raise as much funds as we can. To celebrate today as part of our Elevenses, we have some music for you from the award-winning Hannah White and Kieran Marshall. We're also going to have Rode Lackow talking to us from the Music Venue Properties Board, and Radio 6 famous Steve Lamack will be joining us to tell us why it is that music venues are so important to us. So I'm going to bring in first Hannah and Kieran.
Ooh, oh gosh, can you see us? Can you see us? Trying to adjust.
I'm going to make you.
There you go. Ah, there you go. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
It's lovely to see you both again. The last time that I was seeing pictures of you, you were just winning awards at the Americana Music Awards.
Oh, don't. Stop it. I didn't want to talk about that.
And it's lovely to see you as well, Kieran. How are things in Sound Lounge?
It's all good. Sorry, I'll lean in here. Yeah, it's all good. It's it's been a struggle. Energy bills are killing us a little bit, but we're a music venue, and we're always innovating to try and keep our heads above water.
This is it, and it's such a difficult time at the moment. We're seeing so many venues close, and it's why owning our venues is so important. Is that we're getting rid of those commercial landlords who reduce rents for venues like yourselves, and work with you to help develop and secure a future. I want to share. What song are you going to be doing for us today?
I'm going to start with a song called "The Darkness" because not too raucous. This is quite early for me, you know.
Yes, you're not actually still in bed, but it's not far away from it.
Almost.
Well, I'm going to hand over to you guys. And yes, everyone, please be sure, if you enjoy what you're hearing, please make sure you donate or that you invest now. I'll hand it over to Hannah and Kira.
Thanks, Chris. Are you ready? Okay.
Guilty of a crime, wicked, wicked crime. What have I done? Never found a gun. I'm sorry for my crime, a wicked, wicked crime. What have I done? They never found the gun. I am the darkness and I never will forget. I've never done time, but my time is coming yet. I give in to fate like a foot to solid ground. There's no looking up when you're falling down. The stars know my secret, and every time they shine, it's a piercing penetration, a spotlight to my crime. Quiet never eased a tormented soul, but a flame will ravage from the blackest cold. I've seen a killer's hands, they look just like my hands. Well, I wash them sore, but I only see before. I am the darkness and I never will forget. I've never done time, but my time is coming yet. I give in to fate like a foot to solid ground. There's no looking up when you're falling down. The stars know my secret, and every time they shine, it's a piercing penetration, a spotlight to my crime. Quiet never eased a tormented soul, but a flame will ravage from the blackest cold. Mother, mother, lay me down, the earth will take me in. If only I surrender now, surrender to my sin. Oh, I am the darkness, never will forget. I've never done time, but my time is coming yet. And I give in to fate like a foot to solid ground. There's no looking up when you're falling down. The stars know my secret, and every time they shine, it's a piercing penetration, a spotlight to my crime. Quiet never eased a tormented soul, but a flame will ravage from the blackest cold. They never found the gun.
Woo!
Oh.
Keep clapping. Just other people clapping, I'm sure, around the country. Keep clapping.
Nice.
Thank you very much for that. It's so nice. It's weird to actually hear live music in being streamed, and it takes me back to kind of some of the amazing.
So weird, isn't it? It's a bit triggering.
But it's great that you're able to join us today. So you mentioned how things are good at Sound Lounge at the moment, but challenge?
It's been really hard, and we've just set up a Patreon, and we've got a really, really good community. We've got a good loyal following, and it feels like such a team effort, not just like the people who work and the volunteers there, but like the people who we know it means a lot to. So that's been a bit of a lifesaver, to be honest. But it's literally month by month. Okay, what do we do this month? What can we do to make this month work? So it's stressful, and it feels quite hand to mouth. It feels like it shouldn't be like that.
No.
But we're desperate to make it work. It just means everything. So yeah, we keep on.
Speaking to so many venues across the country, it is like that. It's a very thin line between being able to make money and being able to survive, and the importance that it is to the communities around them. And that's why doing something like the Own Our Venues campaign has been so important, to see those communities come together and be able to support something like this, and see the venues, because I mean, we've got such a variety of venues, from the Polar Bear up in Hull and Sunbird Records and these places, down to like the Hairy Dog in Derby and the Palladium in Bideford. And it's nice to see the communities that support those venues regionally, but also people seeing this as a campaign that can help venues across the country.
I know it feels really personal. It means a lot to people. There are so many people out there who kind of depend on the grassroots sector for their cultural fix. Like that's kind of all there is. And we've had, I exaggerate not, we've had people at the Sound Lounge telling us that our venue has saved their lives, and it sounds like a massive kind of sweeping statement, but it does. It feeds the soul. It gives you a sense of community. It gives you a sense of belonging. It makes you resilient. It's so much that I don't need to tell you. But so this is a game changer, because it's just really hard to keep going, and it's really sad to see venues closing at the rate that they are. We can't carry on like that.
And so much of that comes down to this idea of how commercial landlords don't invest in venues, and that's what we want to do with Own Our Venues. This is an opportunity for us to make sure that these venues are firstly secure. I know from running my venue that when we wanted a plan for the future, we wanted to develop, we wanted to make it more accessible, and we wanted to do some really interesting things, and we just felt as though we couldn't do that because we didn't know we'd got that security of being there in 6 months' time. Something like Own Our Venues is so important for that.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you for that. We're going to bring you back in a bit to have a bit more performance, if that's okay. But thank you for joining us today, Hannah.
No worries.
See you both.
Thank you, Chris.
And we shall see you both in a sec. Firstly, before we bring in my next guest, what I want to do is, if you are watching our Elevenses show today, if you can share it, if you want, we want to get this news out to people. We want people to see what we're doing at Own Our Venues. And so please click share on whatever platform you're watching us on. And make sure that you bring that out to other people. Also, just to hit back, I'm going to go full Geldof on you today. It is the full opportunity for you to either donate or invest in our campaign. The campaign is to raise $2.5 million. We have just gone over the 2 million yesterday, and we've got a couple more days of this, and we know that we can reach that target. So please go to crowdfund.co.uk and Own Our Venues for you to invest. And that's an investment, okay? That means that you can actually take part and be part of this campaign and own these venues. Or if you can't afford that, if you just want to donate, you're welcome to do that as well. You can do that through Own Our Venues donations, and you can do that right now. If we're not careful, I'm going to force some of our guests to do that whilst we're on screen. And talking of guests, what I want to do next is bring in one of the board members from Music Venue Properties, who are looking after the portfolio that we'll be putting together of these 9 venues. So I'd like to welcome today Rhoda.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for travelling from international France to come join us today.
International France, I think it's all international, but not just. I was in an international bit, but I think that applies to all of it. But I don't know. Since Brexit, it's all up for grabs, isn't it?
It is all up for grabs. Thank you for joining us today, Rhoda. So you're one of the board members for MVP, and it'd be great if you can just tell us a bit as to why Music Venue Properties is so important as an opportunity for people to get involved with.
Firstly, I just want to say they don't let me touch the money. Okay, the money is looked after by people who know about that sort of thing, not by the likes of me, idiot musician. So they're all sort of, sensible people who have sensible conversations, which I try to follow. I should say, because I do sit in the meetings with them. But music venue packages is really important because we're hopefully going to be able to develop as a sector whereby we are basically we're snatching back music venues from the claws of people who literally only want to squeeze money out of them, because they are, I mean, they're cultural spaces and need to be revered as such. And I know it doesn't look like, you might be in a little club that's a bit dirty and a bit dank at the end of the night, but it doesn't look like the Royal Opera House, but believe me, it does the same job, and it's only dirty and dank because the people who run it are literally just trying to keep it together, to keep it going, because they're not invested in. So nobody says, we have a music venue. People say, I would like to have a music venue, I'd like to put on music, and they don't realise how little money they will make out of it. I mean, nobody starts that thinking. You don't go there thinking, yeah, let's have a music venue and we're going to make money. That's not why you do it. You do it because you love music. But then once in, you do how much hard work is involved. However, those spaces are vital for so many people. They're vital. I mean, I'm still using them. I'm still using McGrath venues to play in around the country, and they're all different. And I think the important thing is that those people who've run those venues for years and love music really need to have. They really need to be able to just concentrate on running venues. What is that weird sound, man?
I know. This is why we need more venues so that we have engineers to help sort out our sound issues.
I know, that is weird. Anyway, okay, I'll try and ignore it. But yeah, we have music venues that are vital to their communities. They're kind of, cultural lifeblood of their communities. And when you go abroad, say for instance, I was playing in international France, I might go to a venue which is supported by whatever cultural sector. I have no idea how it works in France, but anyway. But they have proper loos, they'll have a proper changing room. I mean, and if you're literally scraping every penny together to pay your bills, currently pay electric bills, that's what venues are struggling with now. If you're scraping every penny together to pay your bills, you haven't got room, you don't have extra money to put in a proper changing room, or and as a female artist, disabled toilet has been my dressing room for far too long, and it's not good enough. If we are, we really punch above our weight in this country with talent and musical output within this sector, so therefore we need to give people a chance we need to give more people a chance to do that. We clearly have something here that works, and therefore we need to be able to continually support that. But the fact is, so many venues have closed down now. I don't know what young people are going to do coming up. You know what I mean? Places that I relied on as a youth to go. I mean, and you just rock up there. You wouldn't necessarily know what was on. Every Thursday I used to go down the Marquee and watch Ultravox, for instance. I can't do that now. Marquee's gone.
I was thinking about this. There's so many of the venues that, I mean, and I hope it's not just me. I know it's not just me, but there are so many venues that I've worked through over my career, and only one of them is still going out of the 5 venues that I've worked at. Now, it's not just me. That's not just the statement, but it's the state of all of those venues have been lost due to commercial landlords changing their mind, wanting to go and develop it, go and do things like that.
Yeah.
And this campaign, one of the most important things about it is that ability to say these venues are safe. For the career, for the next 100 years, it is like the National Trust for music venues being able to say, well, that's it. people can then develop them. They can do what they want with them. They can increase accessibility, improve the facilities. And you mentioned about the French government there. All of Europe invests in music venues in ways that we're not able to here, because the UK government don't do that. So we're having to do this by ourselves through such things as this.
Yeah, exactly. And but we need to. The thing is, what this campaign is, what's brilliant about this campaign is it gives people who go to see gigs an opportunity to give something back to the sector. And I don't just mean in paying ticket prices and things like that. I mean, you can actually, if you invest, I mean, not everyone can afford 100 quid. If you can invest, you will get a return on it.
Yeah.
If you can only afford a tenner, that tenner is going to make a difference.
Yeah, and we've had investment. When it's been so good to see this campaign, because it's over time. It's not just about people investing at a small level. We've had the industry investing. We've had labels. We've had artists invest. But everyone, no matter how big their investment, just still gets one share. And we've seen recently, really good news about the fact that Nesta are wanting to support the campaign, which is a really big thing for us, by giving a loan. So it's a real opportunity for people to see that this isn't just another donations campaign. This is an opportunity for people to get involved, to invest in the future of venues and get a return on that. As you say, it's really important.
Yeah.
I've just seen, by the way, that Mark is down in Parliament Green. I don't know if you can hear me, so I'm going to try and bring him in alive from Parliament Green. I bring you Mark.
I hope this is working. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hey, how about that? If you can hear a lot of noise in the background, that's Steve Bray, the guy who campaigns on Brexit, who's seems to be playing yakety sax every 2 minutes. So my apologies. I've come direct from a meeting with the Culture Minister, Julia Lopez. Very positive meeting about music venues. Very positive meeting about a number of things we're campaigning on, and a huge amount of support for this campaign. I think government is really starting to understand music community owning these venues is the next phase of how we I was listening to what you were saying there, Rhoda, about the number of venues you've seen closed down. Chris, was it 1 in 5 that's left?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the reason I'm standing in Parliament, and the reason I keep going to Parliament, is because this is an issue for government as much as it's an issue for us as a music community. And most importantly of all, it's an issue for the music industry. If you've only got 1 space in 5 left to work in, Chris, you're a very talented lighting engineer. I'm not just bigging you up. Rhoda, if you've only got 1 in 5 places left to play, it's just mad. The number of venues that somebody mentioned the Marquee. I think that was the 3rd venue I ever went to when I was a kid. I sneaked in at the back. I can't even remember who I saw, probably some dreadful post-punk goth band. But first band I ever saw was The Sound at the 100 Club. I think I was 15 years old. I paid my own money to get in. That venue's still there. But why is it still there? Because Jeff and the family that run it care enough to keep it going. And we, the people who really care about these venues, we've got to own them. That's the only answer. If we don't do that, we're still at risk from all these landlords, these companies, these pension funds, investment vultures. I don't care about them. I care about the music venues. People watching this, we all care about music venues. We don't care about making a huge amount of money to park it in the Grand Cayman and live off the profits from it. We want there to be music venues in our towns and cities. And I'm doing everything I can to bring the government round on this. And look, it's hard work. This is a country in economic turmoil. We know that. But this is a real project. Everybody watching this can be part of it. Everybody watching this can be part of owning our venues. Anybody who's watching this, you can put in £100 and you can have a share in the venues we're going to buy. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to carry on buying more venues. We're going to make this a thing. This is going to be the new method under which these venues are owned. It's going to be a radical. It's the most interesting thing I've done to try and shake things up. And people think I'm a bit of a soapbox fanatic and I want to be seen. I actually wanted to come online today, even though I was stuck in Parliament. I want to come online and pay a massive, massive thanks, particularly to Matt Outridge, who unfortunately is ill today and can't be part of this broadcast. But the MVP board, my team at MVT, We've worked incredibly hard to make this happen. Over £2 million has been raised. Can anybody get me the total so we can call it out live on air?
We're
Yeah.
at £2,013,019.
Okay, well, let's keep broadcasting until we get that up above 2,050,000. That's our aim for this broadcast. Because if you're watching this and you haven't invested yet, it needs you. You know, everybody knows I'm very fond of quoting Joe Strummer. Without people, you're nothing. All right. Well, this is all about people. This is all about our music community. It's not about the government. I go and see the government. Don't wait for them to do anything. They've no, you know, what have they done? What have they done?
Ruined our life.
That's your personal opinion, Rhoda. But
They force people like us to come and do things like this. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, but then let's do it. Let's just get on and do it. Let's not have any doubt about whether the music community cares about music venues. I posted this morning, look, I've got a lot to say about the music industry. And Chris, you're right. I want to pay particular gratitude, frankly, to Sony, to Warner's, to Amazon Music, PPL have put in. You know, there are some great companies in the music industry. There are also some companies that need to take a long, hard look at themselves and ask themselves, how happy are you watching one music venue a week closing down?
Yeah.
This opportunity has come along to stop that. What are you doing? Let's name some names. PRS for Music. What the hell are you doing? You know, like this is an opportunity to protect the future of your members, your catalogue, places your members play, license fees that come from those venues, and you've sat on your hands and done nothing. While people individually have taken £100 out of their cash machine and put it in our account. Music fans have taken £100 out of their account and put it towards this project. Where are some of these big companies? You know, enough is enough. We've got to get more serious about our music industry. We've got to get more serious about how we protect these venues and how important they are. That was my rant for the morning from Parliament.
It's good to hear an Elevenses rant from you, Mark. It wouldn't be 11 without you having a rant.
That takes me back to lockdown.
Have we had any music yet? I could really do with some music.
We have had some music, and I think we're going to flick back to Hannah. But Rody, you were just about to say something. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to say, this government has kind of stemmed from the Thatcher years of like owning your council house or whatever. So the logical extension of that is if we're going to have music venues, they should be owned by the people who either go to them, use them, inhabit them, run them. They shouldn't be owned by corporations. They shouldn't be owned by others. They should be owned by the people who use them. And so therefore that it makes perfect logical sense on the Thatcherite idea of the council house. I mean, you know, they can't argue that. That's logic.
It's not.
No,
this is not.
exactly
It's not political. This, you know,
No.
like honestly, this is just common
It's
sense.
logic.
When I started doing this work, I mean, I'm new to this kind of idea of cooperative ownership, community ownership. But I went to a thing up that the co-op themselves organised, and I listened to what people were doing with this model, and it was amazing. You know what people are doing in their communities to protect their post office or their pub or, you know, a service they really value. Well, we really value music venues. You know what I mean? And there's thousands, 22 million individual visits to these type of venues last year. You know,
Yeah.
133 million pounds in tickets sold. I just really believe in it. I really think this is the solution that we really need, and I think we can make such a big change here that it'll just ripple through the next 10, 20 years. We'll see so much more of this community ownership, not just for music venues, but for sports grounds, for theatres, for art centres, whatever you want to do. If something's valuable to you in your community, you should own it. You don't need the government to own it for you. You don't need a corporation to own it for you. You should own it. You know, and I agree with you. I agree with you, Rhoda. Look, I know not everybody watching this has got 100 quid right now. You know, we're not insensitive to that.
No.
Chip in £3 on the donations page.
Yeah.
You know, even if you only chip in £1, I just want you to feel you're part of it. This is going to happen, and we are going to buy music venues. We've got a plan of how to do it with the money we've got right now. So we're going to be writing to everybody and saying, okay, this is going to happen. This is what we want you to do, we want you to be part of. I want everybody in the music community to feel, yeah, I made this happen. I want everybody to start feeling real pride in the fact that we as a music community stood up for our grassroots music venues, and we made something absolutely radical happen that means they'll be there for, as Chris said, not just 10 or 20 years or a year or 5 years, 100 years. I'm stood in the middle of some of the oldest buildings there are in the country. We should own them, frankly. What about if we own Parliament? That's what we should own.
We do own it.
I am looking
We do
forward to
own
the day where I can walk into the Polar Bear in Hull and kind of go, I own a bit of this place.
Yeah.
Yes.
And feel that pride, because it's these are such wonderful venues, places like that and the pub and the Snug. These are great, wonderful venues, and to feel as though you're part of that, it's been really difficult since I've left my venue to kind of have that feeling, and it's so good to have that feeling again, to know that you're part of something bigger, and you can just say, well, I own that venue, I'm part of that.
Can I just say regarding Parliament, and this is because I'm a massive fan of democracy, we do own that building. It is our building. Those people work for us. I respect them entirely for doing the work that they do, but they do work for us. And we need to explain to them that this is what we need them to do for us, because that's how it works. And I think people often get it the other way around. That's how it works. But if you've given £1, and let me just say, on behalf of the person who's given a quid in, if you've given £1 towards this campaign, you are part of it. And I appreciate it's not the same as giving £1 million, but you're part of it. And you can have absolute pride in the fact that you have helped to save a sector which is being decimated. And I can honestly say the first 3 venues I ever visited as a kid are all gone. In fact, first 4 are gone.
There's too many of them, Rhoda, too many of them. I mean, this work started in 2014 because me and a bunch of other people that were in these venues, we just got really, frankly, incredibly frustrated and angry, but sad as well. Duchess of York in Leeds, Princess Charlotte in Leicester.
Oh,
the Roadhouse in Manchester. I mean, these places were such an intense. The Windsor Old Trout. These names probably sound mad, but how many years ago is it when Oasis? Nearly 30 years ago they did that tour, right? There were 25 shows on that tour. There are 9 of them left. 16 of those venues that Oasis played at have closed down. That's outrageous.
It's a shocker.
We never let that happen to cinemas or theatres or museums or galleries or anything else. Why would we let it happen to music venues? It's ridiculous.
Well, as a sector, I mean, in all honesty, there are places. I mean, like the Marquee. Okay, so the Marquee was where like bands who were just moving in the upward trajectory could play. I saw David Bowie play there. You know what I mean? So that's a big deal.
Well, wait a minute. I nearly dropped my phone then in anger.
That's all David Bowie.
Rhoda's just showing off now.
You said David Bowie play the Marquee.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to mute myself because I'm...
There was a TV show called, I can't remember what it's called now, but it was like the 1980 floor show. It was made for American TV. I've seen the Jam play there. I saw the Jam play there as John's Boys. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like I looked forward to playing the Marquee and I never did. And I'm gutted.
This is a story that we see with so many artists as well, is that they want to play at these venues. There's pride in being at these venues where so many people have played before. And in my old town of York, we had a real issue with that because people felt as though a lot of the venues that they wanted to play at, and people spoke about, we want to go play Fibbers, they're shut. And so they didn't get that inspiration. And it does bring people through. And it's a way of making people make new music by playing at places where they've seen their legends have played there in the past, and they want to go and join in with that.
It's so important. It's so important. Like you go and see like a band that you really love at a venue, and you just think, one day I'm going to step on that stage, and by the time it's your turn, it's gone. Yeah. And I mean, that's happened through my career back in the day. I mean, now it must be happening, and for young people now, young artists starting out, it's happening at an alarming rate. It's like, oh yeah, we'll get to play a gig there. Oh no, it's gone.
Yeah.
Well, and also, the stats are bad. The number of shows for new and emerging artists went down by 16.7% last year. 30,000 less shows in 2022 than there were in 2019.
Yeah.
That's massive. That's 30,000 people who didn't get to play their first show, didn't get to start their careers. We're wasting so much talent by letting these places close down. It's mad. Was somebody get an update on the totalizer?
We have got an update on the totalizer. It's gone up by 50 grand in just us chatting here. We need to do this more often. We're at 2,063,000.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like we should have a big graphic that comes up.
Right. Whoever contributed to that, thank you very much. That's what we need to see. We can get this over the line if everybody just goes, right, don't leave your money in a building society, benefiting some pension fund somewhere. Put it in this. Put it where it'll make a difference. Put it in something you care about.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's so much dormant money sitting around in stupid things. Let's use the money we've got for something great. Let's really make something incredible happen. You know, I know it's so hard for so many people saying right now, but Rhoda's right. Put in £1. Go to that donate page and put in £1, because I want you to be part of it. I want everybody to think we made this happen. We went from about 300 investors about a week and a half ago. We've gone up to about 650, heading towards 700. I want to get 2,000 of you to put some money in. Not because I want the money, but because I want us to own this. I want us to feel everybody who buys a share has one share in it, regardless of if they paid £500,000 or £100. You know, they all have a share. If you can donate, let's donate. Let's do a roll call of everybody who donated, because let's just get this over the line. What did you say it was?
2,063,000. So that's been amazing. Whilst, okay. I think so. I'm going to bring in Hannah and Kieran to give us, because Mark wanted some more music, so we're going to have some more music, and that's what this is all about: is to remind people about the fact that there are artists like this who've been developing through venues such as the ones that we're looking to support. So we're going to bring them back in, and by the time they're finished, I want another 10,000 on that totalizer. No pressure at all there, Hannah. Okay, not from you guys, but we'll bring you in. So we're going to switch over to them now. We'll bring them onto the full screen, and you can give us another song. What's this song?
Hey, Hannah.
Hey, Mark. We're so inspired and fired up.
10 grand, that's a lot of pressure, Chris.
Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. If not, we're going to go to Philadelphia and Phil Collins, but I don't think we're going to do that. Okay. So, what's the next song you're going to bring up for us?
It's called Chains.
Great, wonderful.
Losing cards under circumstances, a fine story from an old romance, but that was never gonna wash on me. These are old ways we are walking in, but old ways are where we all begin, and that's another no-go for me. Falling back on the point of view is a game as old as lovers are, and these lovers are nothing new. Like the cold of a moonlit night, baby, like the shadow of a burning fire under fire. I'm the one, like the whole of a firm embrace, feeling of a hand against my face. Under fire, I'm the one. Seems these chains of ours will never be undone. Fight and talk from a time long gone, words that make certain my wrong, and another door closed on me. Winds have changed from a man-made fan, winds have blown since time began, and still I'm living history. Falling back on the point of view is a game as old as lovers are, and these lovers are nothing new. like the cold of a moonlit night, baby, like the shadow of a bird in flight under thunder. I'm the one, like the hold of a firm embrace, feeling of a hand against my face under thunder. I'm the one. Seems these chains of ours will never be undone.
Woo! Thank you again. It's so lovely to hear you guys play.
Thank you, Chris.
And hopefully we get to see you in some of these venues in the future, that you'll be going around and touring and stuff.
I mean, yeah, we've been doing this 10 years, you know, like these venues, obviously we've got our own venue, but all the other venues and all the other places who've brought audiences to us, like people we wouldn't have been able to access. I mean, like they mean a lot, and they've done a lot for me and my music. And you know, I know from all the artists who come and play at our space, it just means so much, and you know, it just does. So yeah, I'm really fired up after hearing you all talk.
It would be nice to know that these venues are secure, so that we can plan tours like that in the future. And as you say, it means so much to artists that these spaces exist, and are able to support them. So thank you again for coming along today and playing with us. We did get some donations during that, by the way, so everyone worried too much about Philadelphia. So let's hope that people will donate us throughout the day. Thank you again for joining us today, Hannah and Kieran. It's so good to see you. And,
it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And I'm going to bring in one more guest soon, but I just want to make it clear to you as to how you can take part in this. So you have multiple options for you. You can invest from as little as £100. And what that means is that you'll get a return on your investment. You will be one of those people who can actually stand up and say, I have invested, I've part of Own Our Venues, and you'll be investing in these 9 venues across the country. And as Mark said earlier, that's just the starting point. We want to improve this, we want to increase this, we want to build that portfolio up through music venue properties and make it so it's not just 9 venues, so it's 90 venues, so eventually 900 venues maybe across the country that we can be owners of and help to develop and support and make sure they're there for the future. You can invest through going to Crowdfunder, and I'll bring this up onto the screen there. You can go to www.crowdfunder.co.uk/own-our-venues, and you can invest there from as little as £100. We're aware that might be too much from people, and maybe you don't want to invest, maybe you just want to donate and support. You can do that as well by going to crowdfunder.co.uk, Own Our Venues, donations. And you can also go to our Own Our Venues website and click on all the links through from there. But we want you to take part today. We've got 2 more days of doing this, and we want to reach that target, and we believe we will. You've seen today, 50K has just come in the last few hours. People are really taking notice of this. And so we want you to take part and be part of this revolution for the future. Someone who's seen a few revolutions over time in the music industry and has been to more venues than I've ever even had hot dinners is Steve Lamack. And so I'd love to bring you in now, Steve, and we can talk about some of the great venues that you take part and why this is so important as a campaign to you. So please welcome Steve Lamack.
Morning. Yeah, I mean, I've been to more venues than I've had hot dinners as well, to be honest. How are you?
I am good, thank you, Steve. And it's been a while. Last time I saw you in person was up at my old venue at Fulford Arms in York a few years ago. And it's great to have seen you at Venues Day recently. And it's wonderful to see someone who's such a big advocate for venues.
I mean, it's been, Chris, it's just been so much of my life and who I am. And I think, there'll be people watching this who understand how important live music is to them. But it's not just the watching the band, it's the going to the gig with friends or standing at the bar. It's not the people that you knew before you went there, it's the people you met when you were there. I mean, I'm not going to bang on again about Harlow Square and how important that was to me, but for anyone who doesn't know, when I went to college in Harlow, I didn't know anyone in Harlow, and I did this 1 year course in journalism, and I went to the square in Harlow, and I met, through the course of a year, I met all these amazing people. I was, you know, I'd come from a tiny little Essex village, population of 1,000. I didn't know anything really apart from what I'd read in the music papers. And by the end of that year, I'd learned so much about politics and literature and film and all these things. And it was made possible by the fact that there was a building there where people could congregate and share ideas. And as everyone's been saying, you know, after that, and I joined the New Musical Express, and Mark's exactly right, that Oasis, that first Oasis tour, so many of the venues are gone. It's the same if you have a look back on the websites of the Radiohead early tours. Those venues, most of those venues are gone. And the question we have to ask, which we keep having to come back to, is how many of them would still have been there had they had sympathetic landlords? And this is what it's all about, is taking out the people who really, you know, they're transient members of the music community. They will come and go, and replace them with a sympathetic landlord. And that sympathetic landlord is us. We can be the sympathetic landlords. And the great thing about this, I think, is, I mean, you've said, you know, wouldn't it be great to walk into any one of these 9 venues and say, I own a bit of this? And that's exactly what it is. That is your brick. I mean, basically, when you go to one of these venues, just pick a brick on the wall and say, that's me, that's my brick. I mean, the next time we do this, I'm going to advocate for we should actually inscribe the name of people who put in some money. And so they'll actually be able to say, look, that's my brick. And the best thing is to say, if you can, and as Mark's been saying, it's a really difficult financial time at the moment. But if you can put in £100, then while your investment's in there and you get a return, and that return will probably, by the end of the first year, it'll probably equate to something like half a pint of beer or something, or a small bottle of beer. But just think about this. You'll be part of this community that at the end of every year, essentially, metaphorically, Mark Davyd will come round and buy you a half a beer. He will buy you a drink at the end of each year to say thank you for helping out and being part of this community. It's the largest round in the country, but what a brilliant thing to be part of. We should all just get together and take the money, you know, which we get back from our investments, and just raise a toast to what an amazing starting point this is. Because as you say, it doesn't have to end here. You know, this really could change the whole landscape and change the way we look at venues.
It really can. There's a real opportunity, and these are just the first 9 venues, and yet there are so many other spaces that have been in contact with us since then to say, my venue, can you look at doing mine? And it's not just venues. We talk about commercial landlords. It's not just that, but also it's this idea of one of the biggest threats to venues, even if they're owned by people, is this idea that what happens when that person is no longer involved, for whatever reason, whether it's illness or whatever, what happens there? And we see so many venues where even if they do manage to own the venue by one person, there's no succession planning. And this is it. By having this outside of that, it takes that risk away. I think Mark wants to come back in to talk about whether or not he's going to be giving free beers to everyone. I'm just going to bring Mark back in on that. Mark, it's nice to hear that you can be giving free beers for everyone to take part. Steve said it was going to happen, so yeah.
I feel that this might be revenge for the Japanese trousers episode, Steve. that if you remember, during lockdown, you very kindly came on one of these Elevenses shows and told us a story about about wearing Japanese flag trousers to an Anti-Nowhere League show, and you promised me that you would wear them to whatever show started when we started back up. And that show was Frank Turner, and you were good to your word, mate, weren't you?
I was.
Walked on stage. The most depressing thing was you must be the only person I know who can still get into a pair of trousers they owned in 1981.
That's true. It is true. But it is kind of the point, isn't it? That if you put in some money, I mean, we can, and this is the great thing, we can all take the mickey out of each other, and we all know what it is, because we're part of this gang. And I think what we're saying to people is, come and be part of, just get involved more, be part of this gang. And I'm slightly taking the mickey when I'm saying, at the end of the year, you'll get this amount of money back. But it is, look, we're doing something where we're all involved together, and it's fun and it's important, and we'll look back on this. And I think the point you made earlier, Mark, was really important. We'll be able to look back at this and say, look, this was the start, and we were here at the start. And if we hadn't have done that now, we wouldn't be here 10 years later, and there'll be generations of music fans in towns which would have lost their venue who'll be able to turn around and say, well, you were one of the people who invested and bought our venues, so it didn't shut down. So I've been able to go to gigs, or my son or my daughter has been able to go to gigs. Thank you very much for stepping up and helping out.
That's it, mate. I mean, like you, I've spent a lifetime in these shows. Whether I'm stood at the back or whether I'm crowd surfing across the front, and they just are the best nights out. I really mean that. You can go and see whoever is the latest band that's headlining the O2 Arena with the fireworks and the robots and the drones and it's not the same as being able to lean over and touch the guitarist's pedals when he doesn't want you to. It's just the connection you get with people. This morning actually we received a parcel, and I opened that parcel, and a really fantastic artist. We bought a print of this. He's done a limited edition print of design of the front of the Astoria. And the reason that's so important to me is because, believe it or not, that's where I first took my missus for a date. I took her to see Gene, supported by the Divine Comedy. And now we've got 2 kids. We've had 20 plus years together. That's where I met somebody that I could spend my life with,
Yeah.
It's just, this stuff is more important than just music. It's about the community. It's about what kind of place we want to live in. What is a town and city if it doesn't have a place you can go and see music? What kind of town and city? Who do these cities belong to? I can get really, as you know, Steve, I can get boringly emotional about this. But whose city is this? I'm still in the middle of London. Who does this belong to? I'm a Londoner. I think it belongs to me. What kind of city do I want it to be? If we've got to start making decisions about how we spend our money, how we invest, what kind of people we are, and we've got to start making those decisions on the grounds of this city belongs to us. We should own it.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Where does the responsibility end? Because you need someone responsible who's going to be there for years and years. Politicians will come and go. Planning will change, but you need someone who's in it for the long term, like us music fans, to say, look, if you lose all these venues, like the Marquee, which we've mentioned, it is incredible that of all the cities in Europe, probably anywhere in the world that you go to, that when you go into the centre of London town, there is one venue left. It's just the 100 Club. Isn't that ridiculous that tourists, I've been in pubs near the BBC where tourists have come in and said, we would like to see some live music tonight. Where do we go? Expecting to be able to walk down the road because you would. But this is the thing. We have to be able to make the decisions and say, look, we need a venue here or here. We have to be able to take the long-term view, because other people probably don't see it in that way.
And so many of these venues as well, that particularly in the first 9, are in places where they're the only venue in town. They're the only venue that, for the youth culture to go and spend time at, to get off the streets. And it's the places that, are so, they invest so much in that culture and giving them a place that's safe to be. It's really difficult to see a world where those venues don't exist. If those venues go, then that entire ecosystem, the recording studios, all of the journalists, all of the local radio stations, they all rely on these venues being there so that people can go and enjoy a good night out.
Well, and also, it's one of the oldest cultural sector expressions there is. You can't be it if you can't see it. How many brilliant musicians are we letting down when we let one of these venues close in one of these towns and cities? How many brilliant careers, how much music that we might have loved and enjoyed, how many connection moments for us as a community might there have been from that one young kid that never got to see a live band, never got to see the potential of what they could do, was never inspired to pick up a keyboard or pick up a laptop or acoustic guitar, write their own material. If you don't have spaces where people can see it, they won't be it. You know, and everybody wants to... Sorry, Steve, go on.
I was just going to make the point as well that you're never more than about 3 people away from someone who will really need that venue, whether it's yourself going to a gig, or maybe it's somebody that you work with whose son's just started a band, or maybe, I mean, there are so many connections to people who will need that venue at some point in their life that when they turn around, as I say, it all comes back to when they turn around and go, so you were one of them who helped make sure this will happen. And that's, as you say, talking of responsibility, it's coming back to us to just say, right, let's do the decent thing, let's do the right thing, let's start taking control.
It's a mindset, Steve. You know, that's my thing. It's taken me a little while to get my head around this. But if we want our towns and cities to be the places we want to live in, if we want access to music, you know what? We've got to take control of it. We can't rely on these private landlords. We can't rely on governments. We can't rely on it. We can rely on each other and ourselves. That's really my big message. The reason I want you to own, everybody watching this to own our venues, is because I believe in you. I don't believe in whatever minister it was I just met. I don't believe in the music industry. I believe in our music community. That's what I think can own these venues. That's who I think cares about them. That's what we've got to focus on.
Yeah. I want to bring him back in, one of the people that I also believe in, that's Rhoda. Just have a quick chat before we finish off. Rhoda, good to have you back.
I just want to say that I have lifelong friends that I met outside a gig outside the Rainbow in Finsbury Park. We were all trying to sneak in to see them, see Roxy Music, and none of us could get in. In fact, 2 people did get in, Paul Cook and Steve Jones. They got in. The rest of us didn't get in. They snuck in. We couldn't climb up the building anyway. But the rest of them, there's a whole group of people who I am still friends with. Some of whom took me to like clubs like Louise's, where I met Susie Sue and, you know, people like that. So, and they were the people that inspired me to get up on stage and do it and just be in a band. So these are those friendships that you make around music, particularly when you're like 14, as I was, when you're young. Those friendships you make around music and about going to gigs, and maybe not 14, maybe now that's a bit young, but you know, back then we could. And those people I still know. They're my friends who I mean, one particularly I hear from, you know, every couple of days, because through the power of social media, it's absolutely blooming marvellous. And those people, we've been sort of side by side through thick and thin, all kinds of things. And that was entirely based around going to gigs, entirely around music. We all went to gigs together. That's what we did. And that was our culture. That was literally our culture, going to see gigs, going to see bands, going out there, and then, you know, to different types of music. When punk started and whatever, we were there. We went to see all kinds of things together. And it's vital that other people get that opportunity. You know, I mean, you know, I was a certain age, I've like the Bowie age, so I'm kind of before Oasis and whatever. But that's like, it was vital, and it was everything to me. Those people were everything to me, and I met them outside a gig because we were all completely obsessed with music. And if there are no venues to sneak into, that's not going to happen. You can't sneak into the Rainbow anymore. It's a church, you know. You can walk in, but you can't sneak in, and it's vital. It's vital that culture survives, and it's up to all of us who love music to make sure those opportunities exist for young people. I'll shut up now.
That's right. It's this spirit, and it infuses everyone. These venues are so important to us, and I think as someone who's been involved with venues for so long, you don't see so much of it. This is the thing, you don't see those stories of where people get together and the marriages and the kids and everything that comes as a result of this. I think this is a really big opportunity. But when you do see it, it's so mind blowing, and I feel so proud to have been part of that with different venues over the years. And I think that's the key thing that I would sell to people about this campaign. It's an opportunity for you to have an influence on the future of not just one venue, not just 9 venues, but all the venues across the country and all the people that go to those venues and their stories. And having pride of that fact is amazing. And you can do that for just a donation or just an investment. But we would say do it now. Be part of this and be part of Own Our Venues.
Nothing to add to that, Chris.
Yeah.
Let's own our venues. That's my final statement. Let's just make it happen.
Yeah.
Because we can. If we decide to do it, it'll happen. Steve, what's your closing thought?
When a bit of Colchester United fell down, they said we will need to rebuild this, and they sold bricks at something like 50 quid each. And when they moved ground, they took those bricks. They're outside the front of the stand now, and every time I walk past it, I think, "There's my brick." And when I go to these venues, having invested in this scheme, I'll be able to go to 9 venues for starters around the country and go, "There's my brick. We were part of saving this."
Yeah.
Can't finish better than that, Chris.
Thank you, everyone, for taking part in a very special Elevenses today. And thank you to Mark for joining us from Parliament, Rhoda, Steve, and to Hannah and Kieran for joining in, and for Bev right at the beginning. It's been wonderful to see this Elevenses again. This is the 11th hour of our Own Our Venues campaign. Please share. If you can't donate if you can, and also invest. Take part in this campaign through crowdfunder at Own Our Venues and be part of the future. Thank you very much, everyone, and we shall see you all soon.
See you, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Bye-bye.